Imola is the next track up in the F124 calendar and it's one of my favourite testing circuits when jumping into a new Formula 1 game. It features a good mixture of everything from high-speed corners, switchbacks and slower hairpins and chicanes. This really gives your car a good workout while prioritising a slightly lower to medium downforce car setup. Kicking off this setup is the aero, and I've gone with a value of 31 for the front wing and 22 for the rear. This is maintaining a relatively large offset between the front and rear which we carried over from Miami, and that's because this circuit shares a few characteristics with that track. If you find the car too easy to drive, you could even lower the rear wing a little more to give a greater offset. This will loosen the rear of the car a little bit, allowing for better rotation into the corners at the expense of a slightly more oversteer happy car. With the transmission, go with 40% on throttle, and this allows for good enough traction out of the slower corners whilst not allowing the car to slide too much on corner exit. The off-throttle differential and engine braking are both set to 50%. Setting these higher is possible around Imola, but again, they will start to loosen the rear of the car, particularly on corner entry and mid-corner. Keeping these both at 50% gives good performance whilst maintaining a nice stable approach. Now Imola is a circuit that isn't too punishing on your tyres despite its fast corners. Because of this, we can opt for a super aggressive camber setup, almost entirely to the left. Go with -3.5 and -2.1. The further left we go with camber, the better the overall cornering performance will have. For the toe, I've opted for 0.11 on both front and rear for a good combination of stability and minimal drag. Carrying on our aggressive car setup approach, I've set the suspension to 38 and 7. This gives extremely good rotation at the front of the car, while making sure the rear of the car stays compliant. I've continued the trend to the ARBs, keeping them relatively high to mid at 13 and 9. Going higher can yield better cornering performance, but it will start to wear your tyres a touch more, and it will make the car feel a little more prone to snapping. For the ride height, this is a crucial part of your setup to balance. You'll want to go pretty low for maximum performance, but have it set high enough so that you can really attack those curbs. You'll be hitting the large curbs at almost every corner around Imola, including those large sausage curbs at the tight chicane. So keep some height in the car. I found that 26 and 56 is a good ride height setup, allowing for good performance while not unsettling your car over those large sausage curbs. For the brake setup, I've once again opted for 98 and 54%. If you do experience some front locking, you can lower the bias down to 53% to combat this without too many negative effects. The tyre pressures are balanced to ensure the tyres don't overheat during a race. Opt for 24.3 and 24.0 psi on the front tyres and 22.2 psi on both rears. Now you may find that the front left tyre stays relatively cool during the race. You can decrease the pressure for that tyre, but try not to create too big of a gap between the left and right sides of the car, as this can cause some imbalance. And that will round out our Imola car setup. Much like Jeddah, this is a car setup that really allowed me to increase my AI difficulty, as it gives us a car that's incredibly competitive while staying stable throughout a whole race. Let me know in the comments what you think of this setup and our previous car setups, and why not consider hitting that subscribe button and the alert bell to be notified when new setup videos drop. But for now guys, enjoy this setup and I'll see you on track.